Hey everyone, Persephonie Muses here. So this is going to be a little different. If you're not new to my channel, then you'll know that I do speed paints and animatics. If you are new to my channel and you haven't subscribed yet and you like speed paints and animatics, then yeah, subscribe. Anyway, we're still going to have the speed paint in the background and some music at some point, but I'm actually going to be talking about developing your art style. I'm going to start off with the top 5 things to keep in mind during your process, then we'll kind of get into an analysis slash rants almost about what you can do to achieve your goal. Disclaimer. I am not a certified teacher and I never took classes, so this is all derived from personal experiences and knowledge gained over the past several years as well as a little Google searching. So, take everything with a grain of salt. Enjoy. Now, the first thing you have to remember is that you don't need an absolute signature style, whether it's recognizably yours or it's 2 or 3 different styles that you jump between. While people can argue that you need a signature, you don't if you just want to create art. Does it help when you want to begin promoting your own brand? It does, but it's not a necessity. So don't let this hold you back from creating, which leads me to the next thing. Number 2, copying art styles for practice or for yourself is completely okay. Plagiarizing is not. I'll get more into the copying part later, but remember, plagiarizing is bad. That means you copied someone and then pass it off as your own work. That's a huge no-no in the art world. Well, honestly, that's a huge no-no in any part of the world. So if you're doing that, stop. It's not cool. Number 3, discovery of your art style is trial and error. It can take months or years to create, and even once you have it, it'll continue to grow and change along with you. It can seem tedious or unreachable sometimes, but don't give up. Remember, it can take years. Number 4, there is a difference between having your own art style and making all of your characters look the same. Now, that seems There's a difference between having your own art style and making all of your characters look the same. Now that seems completely straightforward, but I like to point out some things. Even though I stand by what I just said, sometimes making all of your characters look the same is part of your style, like the odd ones out in Jaden animations. You can look at them and tell who they are and when they draw other people. It's the same character, just different clothes and hairstyle. That's cool because of what they do, story time, animatics, and animations. But if you're a comic book or game creator or anything that makes being able to differentiate characters critical because they have storylines and are reoccurring, this is something to keep in mind. And last but certainly not least, number 5, developing your own art style is fun. I can't stress that enough. There's no rules and there's no guidelines. I mean, of course the one rule of not plagiarizing things, but I digress. You want to shade using dark neon? Not sure if that's possible, but go for it. It's what you like and it's your style, your art. Do whatever flows and comes naturally and go from there. With all that in mind, let's get into the basic of what you need to do in order to achieve your goal of having an identifiable art style, and it all falls under one word: practice. Now, I know artists hate that word because of course you know to practice. The phrase practice makes perfect runs in our veins. But just doing something doesn't mean you understand the intentions behind it. It's exactly like working out. If you're busting out chin-ups without focusing on the muscles you're using in your form, yeah, you're still working out, but in the end, it can lead to injury and hurt you. It's the same thing with art. Yeah, you're drawing, but if you're doing it mindlessly, not analyzing your work either while you're doing it or once you finish, you're not going to improve very quickly. I feel like what artists forget a lot is that it's useful to learn from yourself, to learn from your mistakes or techniques that you've created and used over time. Anyway, let's start breaking down what you need to think about while you're drawing, what to look for, and how to practice in a way that directly correlates to developing your style. Let's pull from tip number 2. Copying is okay to add to your learning process. Copying other art styles, in my humble opinion, is critical. Whether you realize it or not, drawing your favorite characters in their original art style, or drawing your OC in another artist's style because you like the way they draw their eyes, their noses, or the way they shade, or their color composition, you really are doing a study on their art. You're looking at all the components that make their art theirs and you're copying it. By redrawing their art or using their style, you are forced to try different techniques to achieve something similar to theirs. Keep this in mind when you're copying. Take note of what you're doing and the differences between your art and theirs, and utilize whatever you've learned to improve yourself and your own style. Now, that goes to say you don't have to copy other art and styles, you can just simply practice on whatever you want to change or improve on. Let's say you want to get better at coloring hair, along with highlighting and shading it. While you're practicing, you're going to look at a bunch of references from live and or different artists. You're going to look at tutorials and step-by-steps, and you're going to pick and choose what techniques you want to use and how you want to use them and apply it to your own work. If you keep doing this over time, you're naturally going to just start remembering techniques, and eventually, due to the mastering styles, you're going to realize that you're starting to develop your own style, because you're no longer drawing straight from a reference but from memory. And your memory isn't this tangible thing you can just copy. So when you draw from your mind, it's going to have elements that are distinctly you. Every time you draw something again, especially from memory, there are going to be things you remember to add and some things you forget, and eventually you're going to develop something that you can feel comfortable calling yours. This leads me to the last thing. You are key to developing your art style. When you sit down to draw with the idea that you're going to create your own art style, pull from yourself. Art is a form of expression. Art is reflective of you and your personality, so you can use that to influence your style. I'm not saying your art and personality need to go hand in hand. You could be a sweet little cinnamon roll but love drawing gore and death. But analyzing your own personality is a good thing to do when developing your style just in general. It can give you pointers that are really useful. You're dark and brooding and serious? Maybe you want to have a style that's sharp with intense line art and dark tones and solid coloring. Or instead you want to do something completely opposite. If you're a bit of a stickler, maybe you want your art to express a side of you most don't see. Maybe you want to make whimsical art with sketchy lines and bright colors where rules and guidelines don't apply, so you get a little crazy with color composition and body proportions. Whatever allows you to express yourself how you want to. Whatever art style allows you to do that, that's what you stick with. That's what you tweak and twist and continue to develop. So that's the end of this tip/rant video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you want to see more, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon because I have a huge channel update coming up. With that, I'll see you the next time I decide to click on one of my videos. Deuces.